Yo, it's your boy Opally, and today we're just gonna be doing yet another My Hero What If. This is What If Deku Had Nen. Part 1, basically, yeah. This would all start off with Deku having a quirk called Activate. Once he gets home, he tries to activate, but it doesn't happen. So he still tries to do it up all night until his mom tells him to go to sleep. So he goes to sleep and tells Bakugo and the rest of the kids in the class about his quirk, and Bakugo says it's weak because he can't even activate a quirk called Activate. So Deku gets bullied, runs off crying, and at the end of school, instead of him getting picked up, he would run like he would run into a forest. And as he does this, he would find, as he's just running around in this forest, he would be trying to find the school again so he can leave and go home. As he tries to do this, he would find a piece of paper. And once he touches the piece of paper, or actually before he touches it, he would see like a blue light glowing around it. So as he touches it, he would basically, the light would travel across from the paper and onto him. And that's when you look at the paper, and he would be at this point he can't really read kanji, but when the light comes to his body, he'll be able to read it, and it would just be like clear English to him. So he could read it, and he would be able to activate his Nen, basically. So now that he's using Nen, or at least trying to, once he actually does use it, he'll be able to find his way out of the woods, and up comes his mom in the car. So he goes, and still being confused on what really happened, he doesn't tell his mom about this whole quirk thing. At least he thinks that is what it is. So as he goes home, he's sitting in his room on the floor and he's reading the paper. And this paper is pretty big, and it has at least 300 words on it, and they don't make a sentence. They kind of just have names for attack abilities and a description how to use them. So Deku would be reading these, and he would try to perform a couple of these. And as he's doing this, Inko would come in the room, and he would be able to use Nen inside of his eyes. And it's not very powerful because it's his first time doing it and all that stuff. But, he'll be able to see, through stuff. So, yeah. So that's when he tells his mom that his quirk activate. And she would believe him because his eyes are literally growing. And now that Deku, pretty much a time skip through 10 years, now that Deku is pretty much done with the 300 words and a couple of years, because those are hard moves to master. And even on the back of the page, it would have some type of fighting. It would have some type of fighting style that he would have to learn too. So yeah, he has this fighting style in Nen. And Deku is pretty much, about to leave school. But as the teacher would bring the applications for, what do you wanna be when you get out of middle school and go to high school and grow up? And before anybody can even answer, the teacher would just throw the paper. Psych, I know y'all want to be heroes. And everybody starts using their quirk. And Deku is pretty much like, and that's when they're getting through all the schools that people want to go to. Um, it would get to UA and we'll say Bakugo Katsuki, and Bakugo would be like, and then it would say Izuku Midoriya, and they don't know about his Nen abilities yet, so yeah, they'll still think his quirk haven't activated. And Deku don't really care anymore because he has better things to deal with. And no, he's just like, nah, it just is what it is. And Bakugo is pretty much mad because, he applied. So when they do get outside, he corners him, or at least tries to. Because as, Deku started using Nen in his feet. And, like, everybody, like, you can't see Nen unless unless it's being used in the eyes. So as it's being used in the legs, he doesn't know how Deku got this fast. So all Deku would do is blitz right behind him and pretty much throw a kick, and Bakugo would hit the wall. He would look back and would see that Deku is not even here. So since Deku was speeding off, he would just run past. And then as he would hear Detroit smash, he would stop instantly, turn around, and start running towards All Might. As All Might and him have a little conversation, like, yeah, sign my autograph. What? Sign my autograph? That's not the word. That's not how you say it, right? That's not how you say it. Sign my notebook, basically. And since Deku knows that he can become a hero, so he doesn't really know that All Might has that weakening state. So All Might takes him in consideration for him with his quirk, how speedy he was, and he would just run off, and Deku would get home, and he would tell his mom about how he met All Might and got his signature on his notebook. So yeah, he he just goes in his room, and for the first couple of days he is pretty much just doing his regular training, but he just upped it by like twofold. So like he's just doing 2 times the training, or 2 times the intensity of this training. So as Deku is pretty much doing that, Deku try to go catch some fresh air as All Might is walking by. So All Might pretty much ask him, so what all can you do with your quirk? And Deku tells him the abilities he can do, and he's like, oh, okay. And he pretty much tells him to come to Degama Beach like today so he can train with him to be his successor. He doesn't tell him all one for all, but Deku say ye, and he pretty much goes to Degama Beach with All Might, and they train there picking up all the trash. It is easy for Deku, so he does it in about 3 weeks, because All Might did it in 2 weeks, so I feel like he can do it in like 3.5, maybe 3 weeks. Like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. So Deku would do it in around that time. And All Might surprised, and now All Might would just pretty much tell him about One for All and All for One. And Deku's actually considering it, because he has this new fighting style. He has Nen. Like at this point, I don't want to give One for All for him. I want to give it to him. So, Deku holds off on it, and like he says, he's gonna have to think about it because that's kind of that's something totally new. Cause he don't know whatever ability he actually has. He doesn't want to mess up the flow state of that by using One for All as a quirk. And he basically already has something like an enhancer by being able to enhance his eyes, his hearing, and his brain, his physical body parts and everything. All that. And Deku already says that he kind of has something like that, so he really wouldn't need it. And All Might is like, yeah. So, Deku said he would actually find All Might's successor. So fast forward the 11 months of more rigorous training, Deku would get to the UA entrance exam. As he's about to fall, he's about to use Nen to pick himself back up, but Uraraka would make him float. And Uraraka and Deku would have this short little conversation, and they would go inside for the written exam. Deku would enhance his brain and get the highest score. It's pretty much interesting to Nezu, because no one else had that highest score. Even Momo got like 2 points wrong. So, even Nezu's like, this kid could have got recommendation off of just like his brain capacity, bro. He's big brain. He's 189 IQ, bro. So Deku would go to the explanation for the robot exam, and as he would hear, robots, you know what it is. You'd have to walk out and get ready. And as he would see Uraraka, and Ida would try to stop him as Deku's walking towards her. And Ida would put his hand on his shoulder, and you would just get a spark of green I don't want to say electricity, but basically, no, actually, his hand would just bounce off. He can't touch his shoulder. So he would try to, go for a hit on Deku. And, Ida's leg would just bounce off, putting, him off balance. So Deku, but not really noticing what's going on, he would just go up to Uraraka, talk to her, and pretty much the match would start as he's pretty much thoroughly bodying these robots right here. And later on in the match, he would have a total points of around 85 points. Just like 3 points better than Bakugo. So, Uraraka would be stuck under the zero pointer's debris that it basically knocked down. And now that Deku and everybody else can see it, Deku does not run. He doesn't even have that little fear scene when he's about to. He just instantly uses Nen and his feet to basically launch him off of the building. And people say, what is that kid doing? And as the zero pointer goes to swing, it would hit Deku right in the building. And Uraraka says, that kid just dead ass died. And Deku would just get out barely, like he even had a scratch on him. And he would just jump at the robot again. The robot swings, and Deku would just run across his arm. In fact, once he gets to the back of it, he would rip the arm off. And, he would jump straight off of it and, take the arm and basically hit the head straight off of, with the arm, and using the robot arm to break his fall. And Deku would basically save Uraraka and pretty much bring her to Recovery Girl, and Uraka would thank him, and Deku would be like, yeah, it's no problem, and he would just leave and go home, meditate, and do whatever people do when they have Nen. So Deku, days later, he would come back to UA and sees that he got accepted in first place. So Deku pretty much goes into class 1A as he finds it, and he opens the door and he sees that what Ida and Bakugo are pretty much arguing about what they're about how Bakugo was pretty much scuffing up the school on the first day without even having just scuffing up the school on the first day, which why does it matter? It's just some legs, man. Why do you care? He was obviously peeking the legs. So Ida would be mad, and Deku would just walk up, not really do anything, about to go to his seat. As Ida has not been the kindest to Deku, Deku would just blitz right past Ida to a seat that's empty. As Uraka would just run right towards him and just say thank you again. He would sit in the room or whatever, and that's when Aizawa would he would just be like, shut up and go outside. And as they would go outside, and Deku would just instantly just blitz outside and no questions asked. And as the rest of the class comes out, Aizawa hands Deku the ball, and I don't know the full power of Nen, so just to be safe, I'm just gonna give him a high score. It's either infinity or second place, like 99,000. JK, but I'm just gonna give him infinity for now, because I don't know to full extent to Nen's power. Don't know how powerful you can actually be with Nen. So yeah. So I feel yeah. So he was just continuously just using Nen in different parts of his body, so he can advance on and get high scores. So on the grip test, he just uses it in his hand and gets the highest score. On the race test, he would just literally blitz the finish line and get right past it. And on the side-to-side lunges, he would basically just blitz back left and right. And Deku would keep on continuing to get first place, which would make people like Bakugo extra mad. So Todoroki still don't think, oh yeah, he's just getting lucky. His quirk just his quirk is basically enhancing his body parts. So of course he's gonna get a higher score than most people, because how his quirk works. But he can't actually beat me in the fight, which would make sense, but it doesn't make sense at the same time, because it's not no enhancer quirk. Even though it does enhance his body parts, it's still not a quirk. And basically Nen is basically a forgotten thing, and I don't know. I feel like no one else can see that paper but him. So if anybody actually saw him, he's just picking up air. The fuck was that? Okay. Well, so as I was amazed at his power, All Might would come in, and he knew he was strong and he had some abilities, but he was gonna get first place on everything. So he would just look at Deku and Deku? Okay. He would look at Deku and he was like, yeah, so we're just gonna be doing a hero versus villains assignment, and it's All Might's the teacher, I'm going to sleep, bye. And Aizawa just walks away, goes back into the classroom and be sleeping in his bag. And that's when they would pretty much start talking about, no, pretty much start talking about how All Might's so cool and all that dumb stuff. And All Might gonna pretty much tell him about the UA thing. What was it called? The Hero vs. Villains. So it's teamed up with, Bakugo and Ida versus Deku and Uraraka. Before Uraraka can even ask him what the plan is, Deku would say the plan is to me to distract Bakugo, you go upstairs and you take care of Ida. And it goes pretty much exactly the same. But when Bakugo explodes through the wall, Deku would just, move straight out the way, take his arm, judo flip him on the floor like he did to Bakugo, like in Kanon, and he would just run up the stairs, making Bakugo have to get up faster and still truly not recovering from that. So he's running upstairs, and again, eventually they get to the third floor, and now he's mad, so he would use an AP shot. And he hates Deku even more in this one because Deku is just that good. So as Deku would just not be fazed by his AP shot and just run right through it, grab Bakugo, and pretty much grab Bakugo, pull him towards him, punch him, pretty much knee him right in the face, and throw him back downstairs as he runs up to the 4th and 5th floor as Bakugo is just exploding himself to the 4th and the 5th. As Deku is pretty much running away from Bakugo, and that's when the trap he pretty much put like a Nen shield right at the 5th floor, so now Bakugo can't get through. Neither can the down floor, and he pretty much put like a whole Nen barrier down, so now he's trapped in a box. So Bakugo was pretty much screaming, "Oh man, I can't get through," but actually angry and Bakugo-fied. So Deku is pretty much screaming, or not him, but Bakugo is. But Deku pretty much runs in the Ida as he sees his bomb, and now that Ida tries to blitz him, because Deku Deku's Ida would just realize at the last second that his leg would just bounce off because of the Nen that is pretty much protecting him at all times. So Uraraka would get the bomb and Hero Team would win. That's why I'm going to leave this one off. Yeah, and bye.